Let's discuss the Massachusetts Exclusive Buyer Agency Agreement. Here is the Exclusive Buyer Agency Agreement. You can see it's 3 pages. It covers a variety of topics, and you want to have this signed before you start looking at houses with your selected realtor. The first paragraph of the agreement talks about who's the agreement between. It's you and your selected realtor. The next paragraph is the term. In order for a contract to be valid, it has to have a start and an end date. Typical terms range between 6 months to a year. It also depends on how long it'll take you to buy your home. You can sign an agreement with a real estate agent, decide you're not happy and have it terminated. Or if you're really happy, like my clients usually are, and your agreement is coming up to its expiration date, you can sign a new agreement with an extended term. The broker services paragraph talks about what we are contractually obligated to provide. If you're working with a good real estate agent, they're going to go above and beyond what's listed here in the contract. But if you'd like to, make sure you read this paragraph so you understand what your broker is required to give you in terms of the services. This next paragraph is the buyer's representations. When you're working exclusively with a real estate agent, you are required to let people know you have signed an agreement and you actually have representation. It's better for everybody involved if you're letting them know this upfront. It lets them know that you have an agent and they're not going to be contacting you. Like, for example, if you sign in an open house with an agent, most agents require you to sign in. They are going to ask you, are you working with a realtor? If you say yes, then they shouldn't be calling you or bothering you unless it's specifically related to that property. This next section talks about buyer due diligence. So even though you're working with a real estate agent, they are going to help you in terms of researching the property you're interested in. They're going to work with you to do inspections. They're going to help you with due diligence, but it doesn't relieve you from the responsibility of conducting due diligence. If there's something specific that you want to know about a property or that you're planning to do once you buy the property, you should let your real estate agent know so they can help you. But this agreement does state that you are not relieved of that buyer beware aspect. So you need to be responsible for making sure that you know everything you need to know before you buy a property. This next section talks about real estate compensation. We have to have it in writing how we are going to be compensated. The Massachusetts contract allows you to do service fees, hourly rates, or commission. So you're going to want to discuss with your agent what makes the most sense for you in terms of how they will be compensated. The additional terms section of this contract covers a few different topics. It lets you know that your realtor may be working with other buyers, that they can disclose your information to a listing agent or a seller, that unless you have a confidentiality agreement upfront with a seller, your terms of your offer aren't not necessarily confidential. It also talks about arbitration. So if you have a dispute with your real estate agent that you've signed an exclusive agreement with, you will go to arbitration for the dispute, starting with the local real estate board, and if that doesn't work out, the American Arbitrator Association. This next paragraph talks about designated agency. You are signing on with your realtor, whose name is on this contract, as your designated agent. What that means is that the real estate agents at that same brokerage don't represent you. They might actually represent other parties, like a seller or another buyer. The next section talks about dual agency. You're consenting to dual agency, meaning that your real estate agent could represent another party. So if you're a buyer, that means that your real estate agent might have a listing where they're already representing a seller that you want to purchase, but you still want to work with that real estate agent. They now become a dual agent. In this scenario, most of the time, they cannot, in fact, all of the time, they cannot perform their regular duties because they just don't have the ability to. They have to remain neutral when they're a dual agent. It's a very difficult thing. That's why I recommend designated agency. So in a situation where you may be working with a buyer and they have a listing, a buyer agent, and they have a listing that you like where they're already representing a seller, you can always ask to get into a situation of designated agency where they refer you to a realtor within their brokerage so that you can have someone to give you advice and opinions rather than stick with that same realtor where they become neutral and can no longer offer advice or opinions. This final paragraph talks about who governs this contract. So when something goes wrong, you start with arbitration, which we already discussed that. But if arbitration doesn't resolve the issue, then you would actually have to file a lawsuit. So that means you're hiring an attorney and you're going to court. People sign agreements for representation with real estate agents every day. The reason why we have the arbitration section is because we don't want to go to court. Most of the time, if you have a disagreement with your realtor, you're going to communicate with them directly and resolve it. And if you're not happy, usually you're going to be able to terminate the contract and move on to another agent. At the end of the day, we're here to help you. So we want to make sure that you're communicating with your real estate agent so they can do the best they can to take care of you. I always communicate with my clients. I tend to over-communicate. I want to know what's going on. So when you're working with me, just tell me what's going on. Be honest with me. If you're not happy with the service I'm providing, I want to be the first to know so that I can fix it. So I look forward to working with you. I hope you enjoyed this video. It helped you understand the buyer agency contract a little bit better. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and send me a message. You can email me at sara@homewithhuffman.com, or you can call me at 413-847-6377. If you'd like to schedule a private consultation, reach out to me via email or cell phone as well. And on my final screen, I will have that contact information for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.